thank you for coming to ALD's new series, open to all of our members, ALD Career Conversations. So last year, ALD updated its tagline to taking you from first year to career. And this series looks to do that, to talk about the path between where you are now as a student and how to get to your career in business. So we're grateful for our alumni like Marcus, who are here to share their journey. And we're really thrilled to see so many ALD students on the call today. So thank you. We'll get started with some introductions. Facilitating tonight will be myself and Eileen. So Eileen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Eileen Murberg, and I'm Executive Director of Alpha Lambda Delta here in the national office in a suburb of Rochester, New York, the Western New York area. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all for coming.
Thanks. And I'm Trish Maxwell. I'm the Director of Communication for Alpha Lambda Delta, and I work in the national office with Eileen, supporting our members and our chapters. Tonight's guest speaker is Marcus Gonzalez. He was inducted into ALD in 2015 at the University of Texas at San Antonio. He majored in business management, and some would argue ALD, and is currently an account specialist development center coach at JP Morgan and Chase. So let's get started with a few fun questions, Marcus. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. If I had to eat one meal, it would probably be chicken strips. I love chicken strips, all kinds of chicken strips. Some of my friends call me a chicken strip connoisseur. So fried chicken strips, grilled chicken strips too. Probably my favorite, in San Antonio, I have Bill Meller's Barbecue, and they have the best chicken strips. If you're ever in San Antonio, definitely give them a try.
Awesome. I can't wait to try that. I love chicken strips too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next fun question. If you won an all expenses paid 7-day vacation, and we'll just pretend that COVID just magically has disappeared and that's no concern, where would you go?
Oh, so if all expenses are paid, I would probably go to Florida, just because I've never been to Disney World or Universal Studios, and I'm a huge movie fan. And the new Star Wars park opened up, and I never got a chance to go to that before COVID hit. So I'd love to go to that. All the Universal Studios have a lot of different movies, and then also Miami Beach. That would be a great place to go as well. So probably Miami, just because of my love of movies and all that you can do over there.
Yeah, great.
So what did you want to be when you were younger, Marcus?
Oh, going off the second question, because I love movies so much, I wanted to be an actor growing up. I just love like the storytelling aspect and the way that you can send a message, or just with the film, or even TV too. There's been a lot of great TV lately. So I would definitely want to be an actor growing up, and I kind of took a direction to professional wrestling too at one point. But really like an entertainer pretty much.
Which is why we contacted you for this series.
Right. Okay, so let's get started. We'll definitely delve into your career and your path, but let's start with your involvement with Alpha Lambda Delta. Just as an undergrad, what role did ALD play? Were you involved, and did it give you some skills? Maybe describe some of the skills you feel you did gain from your involvement in ALD.
Oh, great question. And Alpha Lambda Delta, you could say it was my college experience too. Like Eileen said, I majored in business and ALD. But yes, that was my main organization I was with too. Coming into college too, you're very new, and ALD is a freshman honor society. So after my first year of not really talking much or doing much at UTSA, I got the invitation to come to ALD, and I love the environment and the atmosphere that the president at the time provided. It was just a fun place to be. And then I went into leadership. After my first year, my initial semester as a member, I liked the organization so much I became the secretary. And then I went on 2 years as the secretary. And then I became the president in my senior year too. And also ALD gave me a big confidence builder as well. Just because I had no aspirations to be the president. I was in the secretary, and then going into my senior year, the current president said that he was going to step down, and I was just thinking about being maybe the vice president. I was like, well, that would be cool. I'm like the second highest person here, so I was the vice president, and the president, Tyler Werlin at the time, was a great president, and he told me, well, don't be afraid. I see your dedication, your passion for ALD. So don't be afraid to go up and step on and go into that president spotlight. I was like, okay, sure, why not? And then I went for it. I applied, and he chose me, and I was happy to be the president. And another confidence builder as well was I remember when I was in high school being inducted into a National Honor Society. I saw the president up there giving a speech in front of a whole auditorium of people, and I thought, well, that's scary. I don't think I could ever do that. That's just, I would be too nervous. But I ended up doing it too my senior year, inducting a class of freshmen into our honor society.
So Marcus, talk to us about your major. So you were a business major. Did you focus in any specific part of business? Kind of what classes did you take, and how did that prepare you for your first job?
Okay. With my major, starting off, I was sports management just because I like sports. I wanted to go into business. I thought that was this cool. After my first year, I transferred to management. Just I felt like it was more broad. I could still get a job in sports management if that's something I wanted to go down in the future. So management is very broad as well because every business needs manager, and really everything is a business. So that's why I selected management. Something else too, in my management classes, I learned to work with other people, the other personality types that I might run into in a workplace. Also, we looked at the organizational design of different organizations. And I feel like that helped me too, going into JP Morgan and Chase, seeing like how that organization operated and how to like place my goals, how I wanted to advance and when I had to advance. So really that helped me establish a plan. Also, I got to work with other other management members to like there's different projects, like there was like a class video we had to make. We had to volunteer together at the food bank, and we had to come up with a product at one point. So really working with other people, because everywhere you go, you're going to work with people in a management major. That's important. It's one thing I liked about ALD, why I became an officer, because that was specifically related to my major. And I worked with a lot of great people. We accomplished a lot in ALD as well.
We'll delve a little bit more into your undergraduate experience. So describe a little bit more about that path from first year to career, and specifically, were there internships? So you've talked a little bit about ALD, and that helped in becoming president, was key to developing sort of some management skills and career building skills. But did you have any internships, any research projects with a faculty member, jobs that you had as an undergrad that might have been related to your career, again, as maybe that might serve as tips and strategies for those listening?
Okay, all right. So really the path to first year to career, first year of career.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an undergrad, particularly, what what sorts of experiences did you have that helped with your not only first job, but the career you have now?
Okay, all right, great question. And so my path from first year to my first year of my career, it's a long road now. When I think about it, I've already been graduated for 2 years, and I can't believe how fast time is moving, especially with this pandemic. So my first year, like I said earlier, you're coming in brand new. You don't really know what to do, because in high school, really everything's laid out for you. You just have to follow the path that the faculty sets up. But in college, you have to follow your own path, establish your classes. So I think it's very important to find a mentor. And we'll talk about the mentors a little bit later. And so after my first year of just really focusing on my classes, just trying to get adapted to college life, I went into ALD my second semester. After the second semester, after like the environment, because there was a lot of, with ALD too, you can find a lot of people that are in your major, or even with your basics, you might find some other people that could help you with your courses. So then I became the secretary for the first year, just really focusing on schools. I did summer classes. That's one thing you can do too in your college career. If you can't find an internship at that time, definitely go into summer classes to get those basics out the way. I got history, politics out the way too during my summer semester. So definitely take your summer classes to help you out that way. When I was a senior, I had just a couple of classes I had to do, and I could really focus on ALD and then my part-time job. But after my second year, I was a brand new officer that year, so really we're just going on whatever the president said. The current president and the vice president graduated. So it was me and 2 other business majors. There was Tyler Werlin, who became the president, Ashton Alarcon, who became the vice president. and we were all business majors. We had a lot of aspirations too to bring to the chapter as management majors as well. And we were working together to better an organization, which that's pretty much the concept of management as well. So we wanted to bring the torch back to UTSA because it had the Order of the Torch Award hadn't been there for a couple of decades. So that's one thing we focused into in our events. We recruited a lot. We had a good amount of freshmen come in that had interest in ALD, and we had a lot of events. And then in the second semester, luckily, a lot of those freshmen, they did well in their classes, they excelled, and then they became members, and those members would later become officers. And so on that line, when we got to the second semester, when we had members come in, and that's when we really focused more on our events, got guest speakers, held study sessions to help members still exceed. And I was also just reminding our members that they could continue on with ALD next year. They come in as a freshman, but you can be a member your whole academic career. So that's what I was trying to encourage too. And after that year, we ended up receiving the Order of the Torch Award. I became the president the following year. So me and I believe we had a marketing chair for our organization, and we were the only officers continuing to the next year. Tyler Warland moved on, and Ashton Alarcon. And we had a brand new group of officers too that we were working with. So right there, that's a big challenge too, because we had to really set the tone for the new officers coming in. And then at that point too, as well, so I also wanted to get some work experience as well to go with my ALD experience. So I got a part-time job with QVC, the Home Shopping Network, to get that business aspect, and it was at their corporate call center to get that corporate environment as well. That way I could have that on my resume. And I had a great experience at QVC. It was like a variable labor position, so I got to make my own schedule. That way I could still focus on ALD, making that the best organization I could. And then also focus on my classes because I wanted to finish strong too, graduate with honors. So that was very helpful as well. So that set the senior year. We had brand new officers. We did a lot of marketing. So there's a lot of business aspects, even with ALD. If you want to go into leadership, I definitely recommend trying to be an officer in ALD because I did marketing. I managed a budget with my treasurer. We did networking too. We reached out to organizations trying to get donations. I did interviews after I was graduating because that was my senior year to bring in new officers. So that's another thing you can put on your resume. So there's so many different business aspects you can use ALD for to go ahead and put that on your resume. So when you graduate, you can use that in an interview, and a lot of employers will like those business aspects you went through. I also went to the ALD conference that year on my senior year. I'd never been on a plane before too. That was my first time going on a plane to Arizona. So that was quite an experience, had a fun time. Let's see. I was selected to be on the magazine too for ALD that year. So I just have that right here too. That's great, the memory in my life too. So
Profile.
thank you, Trish and Eileen, for selecting me for that. So always, you can accomplish a lot through ALD. It's really what you make of it. Once I graduated, I also was the officer of the year when I was a secretary, which also led me going into being the president. So I have this award too. That's kind of something that I cherished. This is like one of my most cherished awards because I worked a lot too the year before I was the president too to try to make ALD the best that it could be. So these two things that I just showed are like very important awards to me and accolades that I treasure. After I graduated, the job search began. I was trying to utilize my ALD experience, my QVC experience to find a good like corporate position that I could go into. I applied with a couple of places, and then I found Chase. I showed them everything too. And I showed them the magazine during my interview, talked about all my experiences and how I wanted to help customers because where I work for Chase, what the position was for customer service with the Southwest and Marriott credit cards. So I really try to establish my personality there and the things on my resume, and they liked that. They hired me on. and I began training there. I try to strike up a conversation with everybody there at Chase, trying to create a rapport, trying to get everybody to know my face that way so I can move up that corporate ladder. Something I recently did before the pandemic, after doing good on my numbers with Chase, my performance, I applied to be a development center coach, which with that, it's helping new hires that come into the company to excel and make sure that they're self-sufficient, so when they hit our production floor, they're ready to go. And in that interview, I specifically highlighted my experience with ALD, helping incoming freshmen who are new to college to helping new hires come in. And I feel like that's what really landed me the position. And so that was the last thing I got. I didn't really get to take too much advantage of that because of COVID, but now they're starting to take steps to go ahead and get that done virtually now. So that's where I'm at right now at Chase. I'm still taking calls, helping customers, and also trying to coach as many people on my team as I can.
Wow. That's great. So I'm just realizing now how much ALD, or really any, to be fair, any good college leadership position can really help a business management major student. We've been interviewing nursing, students in nursing or engineering or chemistry. I don't know, what are the other majors, many other majors that don't always sort of line up so nicely with Alpha Lambda Delta. Certainly the soft skills, the leadership skills you get, but man, oh man, you've really articulated great, solid ways that leadership on campus, again, in any organization, including ALD, can really help an undergrad student prepare you for a career in business. So thank you for that wonderful overview. That was great.
And it was my first leadership position too, as well. So that really, that started me on my path to management.
Yeah, that's great.
So Marcus, you talked about having a mentor, and it sounds like JP Morgan Chase has a nice kind of coaching and mentoring program built in. But I do think for business majors, mentoring is important. So can you talk about maybe how students might find a mentor? Like, is there a professional organization they should join, or how can they connect with others in the field to build that mentoring experience?
Oh, and so mentors are very important in your career because they kind of lead you down the right path, and your skills can go ahead and take you from there. So I would definitely recommend joining any kind of like, I also was in the business scholars program, so that was another one of my organizations. I wasn't active in it like I was in ALD, but definitely try to get into any kind of like business organizations you can that are in your College of Business, because they can lead you down the right path. They can show you what kind of classes to take, which professors they recommend, because in my experience as well, a good professor can make all the difference when learning. Myself, my mentors, they came to me and just going through life. I had my high school math teacher. He was kind of like my mentor in high school, and he got me into my path and going to UTSA when I graduated. So he was a main mentor for me when I went to high school. And then his wife, my teacher's name was Walter Meyer. And then his wife, Christy Meyer, she worked at UTSA in the college of, in the honors college. So I would go to her if I had any questions on enrollment, on benefits that I could use in the future. Also, like what classes to take, professors that she heard good things about that other students have come to her about. When I was graduating, she made sure that I was following all the right steps. I had everything filed correctly, when to file things for like my capstone and get that information. And then one quick story too that Walter helped me with too. After I had already graduated, it was my second semester of at UTSA, and I had failed the stats class. I didn't fail the stats class. I failed the test, the first test with like a 50, and that just shook me up because I was an honors student. I had made honors all my life. I graduated with honors. So I went to Walter, my high school math teacher. And for college, I was like, could you help me with stats? It's beating me up. The first test didn't go so well. And I would meet with them every Sunday. I would bring the textbook, my homework for the week, would go over everything. And then I ended up passing the class with an A just because of the work I put in. And that story showed me that you stumble, you'll mess up from time to time, but you can always pick yourself up and still finish strong and do good in something, no matter what it is.
That's a great life lesson, Marcus. So you had kind of alluded to, you talked about COVID and how things kind of shifted. So can you talk about what your typical day is like at your job before COVID, and then how COVID impacted and kind of changed things?
Oh, okay. Great question. So with my job before COVID, I would go into the office, sign in, check my emails to make sure that there wasn't any kind of meetings I had to go to, any kind of trainings I had to take. And then I would just start taking calls, asking my manager during my breaks, is there anything he needed help with, any opportunities I could try to take to try to move up in the company. And so really was just helping customers with their credit card needs, just trying to establish a rapport as well with everybody that I could. And then I got the development center position where it would help me coach people more. And then in COVID, that completely stopped. There was like a big shutdown. I had to go home because I was high risk too, and a lot of people in my family are high risk. So we were just trying to get everything established. Chase did a great job in finding a way where we could work from home and get ourselves established. We could start helping from home. I feel like I was trying to take a leadership position on the team before COVID. And now that after COVID, I feel like that's I've taken a bigger step, because every morning now when I go in, I log in to look at emails, and I'm looking for things to send out to my team, any important updates or policy changes so I can inform them. I also, maybe 2 hours into my shift, I make sure everybody's in. I set up a Skype chat with my team to make sure that if anybody has questions, because some of them are newer too, they came on right before the pandemic. So I'm sure that was a very stressful situation on them, just trying to establish their knowledge bank. So we set up that team chat so we can each help each other out. If our manager needs to share something that's already established, so we can just put it in there. And then I've been a floor coach too. I started doing that while I was, since the pandemic has started, which a floor coach at Chase, there's different teams. So I have my specific team, but there's other managers with their own team. And in the floor chat, a specific coach, which I was selected to be one, if anybody on the floor has any kind of questions, they'll put it in that floor chat. And so I can be there to assist them. And I'm hoping now that the development center coaching for helping new hires, they found a way to do that virtually as well. So I'm hoping to do that more in the future as well, since my major is management and coaching and helping people achieve the best performance they can.
Great, thanks.
Great. So I don't know a whole lot about schools of business, but my sense is that there's a lot of different areas you can focus. You mentioned, management or marketing or whatever others there are. I guess I have a two-part question. One is, if you're just starting out in business, how do you really know? Are you supposed to specialize in something, or can you just get a straight up business degree? It might just depend on the school. And then also, just what advice do you have for someone pursuing a career in business and how to navigate that?
Okay, great question. And so something that I'd recommend, some advice, because business is a very broad term. Everything really is a business, and there's many different areas of business. So I do recommend getting multiple internships if you can into different types of business. So there's marketing, which is more like advertising, that you can maybe intern with an advertising firm. There's cybersecurity, which too people think of it technology, but it's also business, and a big part of UTSA's College of Business. So you want cybersecurity, that's becoming, as we become more of a virtual society, that's becoming more and more important too. Management, if you want to go into that leadership and coaching kind of aspect that I did. Accounting. Accounting is a very big profession as well. That everybody in their business wants to make sure their money is going to the right place and nobody's misusing it. So accounting would also be very good. So yes, really get any kind of experience that you can from any kind of business.
And certainly experience can also teach you what you don't like too. I mean, it's not only what you find that you love, but it might help you eliminate some things. Like you might I don't know if you want to, hopefully you don't have a whole semester internship in something you hate, but
Hmm.
it does happen, and it's not the end of the world because it's taught you a valuable lesson. But it's important to get those experiences. You are a very positive person, a positive personality, and it seems like you like or maybe love your career. So what is your favorite thing about your career?
My favorite thing is probably working with the people that I work with too. COVID has struck that a lot too, trying to create a rapport with team members. You can't be there physically to talk to them and mentor them. But really, I like working with people. That's my favorite aspect. We started to try to do more like virtual, like during our team meetings, maybe a Zoom game. Come up with some kind of Zoom game to try to create that rapport.
Yeah.
Some other advice as well I have too for other incoming people. Really, you can take this with any career. Never underestimate the power of a conversation. I would always strike up a conversation, any situation you're in. You never know who you're going to meet there and what kind of rapport you'll build with them and how that can help you in the future.
That is really great advice, that you just never know. You never know who that person is or who they know, or where it might lead. So that's great. Anything that you wish you had done that you didn't do as an undergrad? Like,
Yeah, so mainly the internships too. I feel like I wish I would have got different aspects of business. I just found the management field and ran with it, but I kind of feel like when I take a look back, that maybe I could have done like a marketing internship to see maybe what that's like advertising is. Or let's see, there's also accounting. I was good in accounting too, and we took general accounting classes too in our College of Business, so that was enjoyable too. And public relations is something that interests me as well. So maybe seeing how that side of the business, like when something goes wrong, how does a company solve it, would have been something to also go into. So really try to get as many different internships as you can in different kinds of business, because a business degree can get you into the door for really any business. But if you have like something you really have in mind, go with that, because that's going to even help you even more.
in terms of like post undergrad degrees, I mean, obviously, so there's an MBA, which it seems like folks who, I'm just making an assumption here, that folks who go into MBAs don't often do it right out of undergrad. You might work in the field for a little bit before you pursue an MBA. Have you thought about that? But also, are there other things? Are there professional certificate programs or anything else? If someone didn't really want to commit to an MBA, are there other things they should?
Oh, it's definitely a great question too, because I haven't, I'm not in graduate school right now.
Yeah.
I went into the workforce right away. Something Chase does offer is that they have a program that they will pay for your your graduate school. So that's one thing I do recommend too. If you don't want to go into your master's right away, search for a good company that maybe they'll pay for your master's degree for you. And I have seen like some managers have different certificate programs through UTSA even. So there's different opportunities. Once you get your foot in the door, definitely find your manager, your leadership, and see what kind of other opportunities there are.
Great. Yeah.
Because you just don't have to go straight there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot. You just reminded me. I have a nephew who got a job, and after about 2 years, they paid for his MBA. He, it took him a while to get it because he was still working, but they paid for it all, so that's a good deal. Okay, so feel free to, so I'm going to open it up to Q&A. You are very welcome to turn your cameras on, or certainly unmute yourselves at a minimum, or just type in chat if you have any questions for Marcus while he's here. So
one of the questions that someone asked in a different session was, what has been your most difficult learning experience in your job?
Oh, that's a great question. So a difficult learning experience in my job. So there's numbers that we have to meet when our job, like how fast we're taking our calls and helping customers. That was one thing too, because I'm a very, like you said, positive person. I like to work with people. So just trying to make those calls faster and kind of more efficient as possible, while still providing a great customer experience for whatever customer's on the line with me.
Are you okay with members connecting with you on LinkedIn if they wanted to kind of start building different relationships?
Sure, go for it. If you find me on LinkedIn, go ahead and add me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or any help that you need with, or any kind of advice. Maybe if you're just like exactly wherever you are, maybe your College of Business or even in general, if I can answer it, I'll help you out.
Great. Okay, well, thank you so much, first, everyone, for participating today. I hope it was useful. But mostly thank you so much to Marcus Gonzalez for all your sage wisdom. Even just 2 years into your career, you have great advice. And for your
Thank you.
time spent with us tonight and supporting Alpha Lambda Delta so much as an undergrad and now even postgraduate. So thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.